Okay, I want to do a bit of a recording to just recap on a few of the very things that I was doing at the workshop at the weekend. Okay, so Ian's asked me a question, and I thought I might as well send the podcast to all of you. But I've got the two images open here in Photoshop. One that is correctly exposed for the floorboards, which is a lighter one here, and one that is correctly exposed for the sky, which is a bit darker. I've over exaggerated it a little bit, but you can see there's two different exposures there. So the first thing we need to do is we need to grab one of them and combine them into the other. So I'm going to press Control A, which is to select all of the image. If you're on a Mac, it's Apple A. So that's the only difference really. When I say Control, it's either Control or Apple in this situation. Then I'm going to press Control C, which on a Mac would be for Sue. Sorry, yeah, well, there you go, Sue. It's Apple's. I've forgotten what I said now. I'm getting confused with which buttons on. Copy. So yeah, Apple C. So Control C, Control C, and then I'm going to come back into this other image. So select this other image here, and I'm going to press Control V, which will be Apple V. To stop myself getting confused, I'm going to close this other image down. Okay. So now what we've got, if I just right click on this and fit on screen, we have now got these two images in the layers here. So basically I've got two layers here and one on top of the other. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to press this button down here, which is the Add a Layer Mask. So this is the system where we're going to punch through using black and white into the background image. I'm then going to come and get myself a gradient tool, and you can change what the gradient tool does by clicking various bits and bobs on here, but what we're looking for is from white to black. Okay, sometimes it's on circular, which clearly if I do this, you can see the circle here, that's not what we want. We want it on this button here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag it down, and you can see that the sky is lighter than the other. So you can see at the moment it's pushing through into the darker boards here. So this time I'm going to click the other way around, like so, which makes the sky a lot brighter and the bottom here. Now, as I said before, I've actually combined two images here. One of them probably quite correctly exposed anyway, but what I'm also going to do here as well to kind of add to this. Now I've just done this is like having a graduated filter essentially, and what you can do is you can make the line a bit less harsh, like so, which improves it. So if I do something like that, you can see that improves it, because what's happening is, if I click on this, is just it's gradually fading this into the background. Okay, and because the background is, sorry, the background by I mean the sky here. But what I want to do is create a natural looking effect. So I do this a few times to sort of judge what's going on, drag in a few different places like so, and I'm reasonably happy with that. And the way you can check this is if you right click on the layer and disable layer mask. That's before, and if I press Ctrl Z and just keep pressing Ctrl Z, it'll flip between the two. Now I think you'll agree with me that it actually works better when you put the sky a little bit darker. But one of the disadvantages with this method is certainly with using a gradient tool here, which is the same disadvantage you would use if you were using an ND filter. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, graduated filter for the ones that you just bought. They are useful for certain things, and certainly for weddings, and certainly for speeding your workflow process up is useful. But there's also things you can be quite useful for as well. So handheld stuff as well is very, very useful for graduated filters, is what I'm using as well. But if you've got a tripod, you don't need to. You can do this process. Anyway, so I'm going to get my brush tool here, and I'm going to just make it a little bit larger, and I'm going to take the opacity down to something like very small, and I'm going to, because I've got the black and white image here, I go from black to white. I want to punch through into the background, so I want to paint this white, which it already is on white. So I'm going to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to, it's the other way around, I want to paint it black, because I want to punch through to the lighter one, so now I want to make it white. So just have a quick look on here and see what it's doing. It should be making it brighter. Let me just double check the background. I forget which one it is now. So the foreground is the lighter one. So this one's the lighter one. So I want to keep the lighter one. So if I take this off, let me just double check so I can see it on screen. The foreground, so I want to paint white. I'm going to paint black. Sorry, I'm making myself confused here because what I'm doing here is I'm painting to push through. So I'm going to paint black on this, which basically means that I'm making the top one more prevalent. Basically, you can see here the top one is lighter than the bottom one, so I need to paint white. I'm going to make it a bit easier to see by taking it up to a bit higher percentage. So you can see it should start to disappear now. You can see that the little light is disappearing and it's going whiter. So what I'm actually going to be doing now is adding making this brighter, essentially. Now the thing you need to be really careful with in doing this type of thing is not actually making a halo around it. So it's better if you pick out certain parts of detail and just make sure that you're working with that detail and leave the sky completely alone, unless you're really pixel accurate, which is very difficult to do in these circumstances. So what I'm doing, I'm just going down and I'm going to paint very carefully this area, and what I'm actually doing is I'm painting it away. Can you see it's going whiter? Now that's just pushing through into the other image. Okay, so you can see I'm being very careful not to go across the edge, which is why I've changed into the foreground. You might want to just take that up a little bit more, just so it makes my life a little bit easier. Now obviously this is something which can take quite a long time, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Oh, the last bit, because I don't want to put this podcast too long. I want to basically get across the important factors, but essentially that's really one of the important factors. So just to recap, what we've done is I have put two images together by cutting and pasting, which is Control C, which is copy. Well, actually what I did was I pressed Control A, which selects everything. You can actually go, I'll just have a look, edit, select all there, select all, which is Control A, file, what's that, or is it edit? I can't remember where it is now. I never use it. Oh yeah, copy, which is Control C, you can see, and edit paste, which is Control V. So you can see they're the keyboard shortcuts. I use them so often I could never quite remember exactly where they were. But essentially what we've got here is if I just right click on here again and disable layer mask, you can see it goes and comes back. Okay, so that's how you make an image. Oh yeah, finally, if you flatten the image, that's now ready to go for print, because that's, you know, one of those things. Okay, right, so that's oh yeah, what I might do actually, no, I think I'll leave it at that. So that's basically making a composite of two separate images, a light area and a dark area, that ideally you've taken out of the raw, out of one or possibly even two raw files, which have been bracketed, and you can then composite them together in that way, and that's how you get a full dynamic range of imagery. And I've forgotten how you turn the recording off now. Maybe I'll have to, oh, that's how we do it. We press stop.